फिर पापा ने मुझे अडॉप्ट कर लिया। फिर बहादुर आ गया, बहादुर स्निफ करता है और मैं सोती हूँ स्निफ करेंगे।
Hi, my name is Mehak, and I used to be a lawyer, but now I'm not. I'm a photographer now, and I'm very happy doing what I do. It's been a lot of effort, some sacrifice, a huge amount of support from people I know, people who've been my family, my friends, and I've been very lucky to be where I am today. It was the New Year's of 1999, and I had no idea. I just finished school, and my friend said, Mehak, why don't you do law? My mother wanted me to be a CA. I at one point wanted to be a chef. Then I wanted to be a pilot. Then I wanted to play cricket for India. But obviously none of that ever happened because obviously Sachin was there, and not like I'm comparing myself to him. But obviously if you didn't have the talent, you couldn't do it. So law seemed like a plausible solution in my life, and 6 months later I found myself in the second best law school in the country, which is ILS College, Pune. 5 years of studying law in Pune, I excelled as a law student. I was amongst the top 5 throughout the 5 years. Did very, very well. Did some very good internships. Ended up getting a scholarship for a master's in UK, which I successfully completed. Worked with the UN as a consultant. Worked with some of the biggest lawyers in the country, including Indira Jaising, and some really big landmark cases. Even happened to work in Afghanistan for a while. That's somewhere along the line, all those years, 7 years of studying and another 7 years of being a lawyer, I kind of realized that I wasn't doing what I was happy with. I was not happy with my life. I was not happy with where I was heading. I was very stressed throughout. And I was in Afghanistan at this point, where I called up my girlfriend, who was going to get married in 3 months, and I said, I'm going to quit my job. I can't do this anymore. And she just told me something over the phone. She said, quit now. If you're not happy, we'll never be happy together. I quit my job the next day and I came back home. I had no money on me. I spent all the money I had on buying a house, and all my savings were gone. Thankfully, my wife was working then, and she said she'll put me on a pocket money, which she did to a certain degree. She bought me my daily necessities. So I spent the next year and a half of my life learning how to be a photographer. I did not know that I wanted to be a photographer at that point, but I started enjoying taking pictures. I was extremely lucky to have chanced upon Lana Sledich, who's been one of my mentors and a great photographer. I asked her, can I assist you? And the next 2 years of my life, I spent training with her. Training in the sense we used to go for shoots together. We worked on a couple of projects together, and her influence was something else. It's what made me a photographer. It made me think like a photographer. It's not about just taking a picture. It's about every picture meaning something, and which is something I stand for all the while. My first payment from photography was 10,000 rupees. I came back home and bought ice cream. And I said, wow, okay, I can buy ice cream now for my own money. Then one of my ex-bosses from the UN was getting married in France. And this was a game changer. She said, Mehak, why don't you come down and shoot the wedding? I came back, people saw that work, and suddenly I was being called to shoot more weddings. From one wedding to another wedding to another wedding. I didn't know I could be a photographer till I didn't try it. Maybe if in school there was extracurricular activities like a photography club, I could have discovered what I do good now 20 years ago, and imagine how good I might have been now. Sometimes I look at my life and say, I missed out on 20 years of not doing this. And 20 years of doing this you can imagine where I could have been now. And that's how I look at it. Someone like a filmmaker like you. I'm sure you didn't know you wanted to be a filmmaker in school because you come from our generation. In our generation, our parents only wanted to be a doctor, engineer, IAS officer, or maybe a lawyer if they knew that your caliber wasn't good enough. And really, that's how they looked at lawyers. Now look at how lawyers are treated. You got to get a 94% to get into a law school now, right? Why? Things are changing. Things are evolving. People now do understand that there is more to life than just doing the regular 3-job doctor, engineer, lawyer, IAS thing. You can be a filmmaker. You can be an art director. You can be a copywriter. You can be a writer. And good paying jobs now. Now you've got the internet. Now you've got everything out there. Here's the thing. Most of what I initial days of what I learned about photography was reading on the internet. Everything was freely available. There was a digital photography school. We know what's happening in different countries. We know what photographers are doing in America, maybe, or the Europe, or in England. So it's great. It's got the world much closer together. India's a strange society in its own way. We have this colonial hangover, which I still find every now and then, but it's also a society that's trying to discover itself. And I think the internet is actually helping us discover ourselves a little bit more. The youth is finally finding a voice for itself. I just hope a lot of kids out there who are being forced to do what they don't want to do in their life is to stand up to the parents and say, "Mujhse nahi ho payega, right? Nahi ho payega. Let me do what I want to do." Unless he wants to be a drug dealer, obviously no, right? But if it's something you want, if it's a passion, follow it. Please follow your passion. That's one thing I'll say out there to everyone. Back in our days, the best career counselors that we had were our parents, who had already decided what careers we would have. And I think I wouldn't call it would be too harsh to say if I'm a victim of that. But yes, I have suffered because of that to a certain degree. I did not know what I wanted to do with my life. I did not know what I was good at. I wish there was someone who could have told me. I don't know whether it could have been a counselor, whether it could have been a computer program or a software that told me this is what I'm good at. This is what you think you should do. I don't think a lot of 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds that have said this before know what they want to do with their life. So I think it's important to have something in place, something which is unbiased, something which takes you for what you are and not what they want you to be. I mean, I know of career counselors who already spoken to the parents and then they've told them कि please बेटे को बोलना कि यही करे, and they do it. A scientific process which has been researched and put together by people who know what they're doing, right? And most importantly, it's unbiased. It doesn't care about emotions, because the biggest problem with something like this is कि emotions get involved here. A doctor's son had to be a doctor. A lawyer's son had to be a lawyer. Clinic कौन चलाएगा? Practice कौन आगे लेके जाएगा? They didn't care if you were good enough or whether you liked it. We did it, you have to do it as well. There was this constant bias, right? A computer program is not going to care about all of that. It just wants to know maybe what your IQ is, what your caliber is, what your interests are, and then scientifically collate all that data and say, I personally think that you're good enough to be this, this and this. Now you pick what you like. And I'm sure it's taking into account a lot of factors. Your marks, your interests, your curricular activities, your hobbies, and all that matters is because that's the individual you are, right? Every year I change some of the pictures that I have in my house. I mean, I find my house is slightly narcissistic, but I like what I shoot. People put up stuff in their house. I put some of my own pictures in the house. More about myself. It's more about remembering a moment I've frozen in time. I mean, that's what photography is all about, right? So, I mean, I'd taken this picture in Glasgow, and I was walking down one of the streets, and I saw this really nice graffiti on the wall. This was a tough one. This was a tough one. I was in London. This is, I think, a year and a half back. I was in London. I had a day off. I was meeting a friend for coffee, and he was late. I just got off the station I was walking to was the London Eye, and it just stopped raining. And then I saw this reflection, and I saw a double reflection. I saw glass and I saw water, and I just sat down there. I think it took me a really long time to get this picture, but when I got it, I was really happy about it. I think for me, photography is all about catching that one moment in life, right? And I'm very selfish. I do most of it for my own self. I mean, yes, there's work I do for clients at the end of the day because they want their life captured by me. But as a photographer, it's also very important to take pictures which you'll remember and be happy about. And I think some of these pictures in my own house are a reflection of who I am and what I enjoy, really.